Alright guys, welcome back. So in this video we are actually going to start building the front-end interface for this project. So the first thing I'm going to do is I actually need the image of Chuck Norris that I showed you on the first video. So I'm going to go inside of my project in here and I'm going to go inside of the source folder and I'm just going to paste the image of the Chuck, okay? So in here now I have this image, and if you guys go in here, look, you got this one in here that it says chuck.jpg. This is the image that I'm going to use throughout this project. Alright, so once this is done, now we can actually starting styling our project. Okay, first I want to use in here some Bootstrap. If you guys never heard about Bootstrap, it really helps you set up your website really quickly. It's like a library with CSS. So go in here onto the top and just look for Bootstrap. Okay, Bootstrap should be the first link in here on the top, getbootstrap.com. And if you go in here into download, you should scroll down and there should be these CDN links. I want to copy these two in here for the style sheet. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this and I'm going in here onto my project where it says public. On the top there is this one that says index.html. Let's paste this. Let me just take out all of these comments that I don't really need. I'm just gonna put it in here. I think it should be all good. Okay, so I pasted these links in here for Bootstrap. Now I can actually start using things from Bootstrap. So let me go inside of my source, my app.js. The first thing that I want to put in here is I'm going to put a class. Remember that in React, if you want to apply some classes to these elements in here, everything that you see in here, it looks like HTML, but it's not. It's JSX, how it's called in here in React. So if you want to pass a class to these elements, class is actually a keyword reserved in JavaScript. So you need to use this property called class name. So I'm going to put a class name of container. So container in here is a class that you use on Bootstrap when you want to wrap everything around one element and it's going to center everything on the page. So again, I'm going to put in here a container, and inside of this container, I'm going to have a div with a class of row. Okay, so I have a div with a class of row, and now this has a grid system of 12 columns. So I'm going to put in here a column 6, so basically it's going to take half of the width of my container. Okay, so I'm going to do a div col 6, and now I'm just going to put in here a h1, and this h1 is going to say Chuck Norris API. Okay, like this. I am going to give a class name of title to this element. Okay, let me just increase the size in here a bit. Meanwhile we do this, we can see this. And just under it, I'm going to put an image. So in React, if you actually want to put in here a source of the image, you need to import it on the top. So to do that, I can just do import. I'm going to call the source of this image just Chuck, for example. And where do I want to import it from? Remember, we are writing down this code in app.js. So I'm going to use this dot slash. This dot slash means look on the same level of directory where is our app.js. And I'm going to look for chuck.jpg. So chuck.jpg. Now that I imported these, okay, I called it Chuck, but I could call it anything else that I want. In the source of this image, instead of putting double quotes, I'm going to put this curly braces, and inside you can put this one that says Chuck. The alt text in here is just if for some reason your image is not going to load, you could just put some text. I'm just going to say Chuck Norris because it's Chuck Norris. So if you go in here onto your page, let me just increase this a bit now. As you can see, you got Chuck Norris API. This is the title. Let me just delete this H1 that we were using before. We don't need this anymore. You got the title and you got in here the image. So this is all good. Now let's actually start applying some CSS. If you guys notice, we are actually importing in here on the top our app.css, this file that came by default with the installation of React. So we could actually use this one. So what I'm going to put in here in these styles is, first of all, I'm going to select the body of the page and I'm going to set the background color to be royal blue. Okay, this is going to be, royal blue. So if you apply these, look, now the background of your page is looking royal blue. Secondly, I want to put in here a text align to be center. So this will make sure that we center all the text in our page. After, I'm going to, actually let me just close this down so you have a bit more room to write. I'm going to target my image. There is only one image on the page, so I can just target it using the tag element in here. I'm going to say that this image must have a maximum width of 100% of the parent. This is just if you are going to shrink down the page or increase it, it's always going to look nice. And finally, I think for now, I'm just going to grab this class of title. Remember, this title is this H1 that we created before. And now I'm just going to give it a color of yellow. Okay, I'm going to set up this color of the text to be yellow. I'm going to set the text to be transform. So I'm going to transform this text all to uppercase, probably. Yeah, so we can see in here everything on uppercase and yellow. I'm going to set the font size to be 50 pixels. Like this. And then I'm just going to add some text shadow. Okay, this is just something to give it a little bit more styling. You don't really need to do this, but if you want. So text shadow, and now I'm going to put 5 pixels horizontal, 5 pixels vertical, and then I'm going to put RGB, and it's going to be 0, 0, 0. So it's like black. Okay, it's looking nice. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And I think that's it in here for this part. Now, what else are we missing? We have in here a column of 6. So after this column of 6, probably we could create another column just under it. So let me just increase some space in here. Now I'm going to put another div with a call of 6. I'm also going to put in here a class is going to be the search joke column. Okay, I'm just going to put this one in here because it's going to be the column in here on the right. Now, what do I want to put in here inside of this search joke column? I want to put a div with a class name of card. Okay, this is another of these Bootstrap classes just to give a bit of styling to your project. And inside of this, I'm going to have a div with a class of card header. And in here, I'm going to put an input. Okay, this input in here is going to have a class of search option. I don't think I even need this kind of class in here. I don't really think that we need it, but we can leave it for now. So after this input, I want to put a span just under it in here. So this span in here could be, for example, our button that we are going to create and that we can click on it. So now in here, this button, let me just go in here. This button could be saying, just search for a word. Let me put in here, search for a word. Okay. This is what it says in here. And I think that's it. We got this. I could just put in here some card body now. We got the card header. I'm going to put a div in here with an input as well. This is going to be the card body. And now I'm going to put an input inside. So, actually, I don't need this one if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I don't need this input in here. Let me just get rid of this. Okay. I could just have this in here like this. Search for a word. Yeah, this is enough. Okay, we got in here on the top, search for a word. And then in here, I actually have the div with a card of body and with an input with a type of text. I think this should be enough. Yeah. Okay, after this div with a class of card, I could actually create in here another div, okay? And this div is going to have a button with a class name of btn warning. So this is just to give it a color of orange, I think that's it. And then btn lg. This is for the button to be large. I think that's it. Let me see. Save this. Okay. So you got the button in here. Of course, I didn't put any text inside. So I'm going to put inside of this button. I'm going to say generate joke. Okay. So generate joke. So you got this in here. I think this is all good. Let's actually put some styling before we finish this. So let me put some style in here. If I go in here into my app.css, first I'm going to select my card header. I'm going to set it up to be, okay, with, actually I don't need to put any stylings in here. Maybe I just need to select my card, okay? Do I have a card element in here? Yeah, that's the one. Let's put some style in here. I'm going to put a margin from the top. So I want to push this card in here. I want to push it away from the top, okay? So I'm going to put margin top to be 70 pixels. Okay, so now I can see that my card is away from the top 70 pixels. Then I want to grab my button with this class of btn to be away from the top 20 pixels. I think this is enough. Look, now your button is away from the top 20 pixels. Finally, let's add in here the joke that you will see on your page. Now, after I put all of these divs in here, okay, this is the column 6. This is this one, column 6 as well. I am going to put in here, let me see, this is after this, yeah. And this one is the row. Okay, so if this is the row, let me just see if everything is fine. I think so, yeah. After I selected this row, let me go down here. I'm going to put an h2. This h2 is going to be with a class name of subtitle. So what do I want to put in here? Here is the joke. Okay, so we are going to put here is the joke so we can see the main joke in here. And then I'm going to have an h4. and this H4 is going to have the joke. Chuck, I'm just going to put something in here. Chuck Norris is not afraid of anything. I don't know, I'm just putting something hard-coded in here. Later I'm going to show you how you can grab these from the API itself. Okay, so we got this. Let's just style it quickly because there is just a bit of style to put in here. I'm going to select this H4 title. So I'm going to give it a color of white. Okay, you can use this hexadecimal. Okay, Chuck Norris is not afraid of anything. Then probably I could just grab this, here is the joke, and I could use the subtitle for it. So subtitle, this is the class that we have on that element. I want to increase the font size to be 40 pixels. I want the margin top to be 50 pixels as well. Look, it's away from the top 50 pixels. I want the color of it to be white as well. I want the text transform to be uppercase, and finally I'm just going to add a text shadow. Okay, the text shadow is going to be 5 pixels, and then RGB is going to be 000, so it's black. Just like that. Look, here is the joke, and you got this one in here. Chuck Norris is not afraid of anything. So right now, guys, we just build all the front-end interface for this project. Now, in the next video, we are going to learn how you can actually fetch the data from the API. I'm going to show you how you can do it. And then in the next video after, we're going to learn how we can actually search for a word. Click in here on the generate joke, and every time that we click in here, we should see some different joke in here on the screen. Alright guys, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.